Mommy Joy again and welcome back to my channel. For today's episode of English 101 with Mommy Joy, I will be talking about the difference between advice with a C versus advice with an S. But before that, thank you so much for those who subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're new to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing and please click the notification bell for you to be updated on my upcoming videos. Advice with a C versus advice with an S. Take note that the wrong use of these two is very annoying. Why? Kasi even myself, hindi ko alam kung ano ang gagamitin ko. Advice ba with a C or advice ba with an S? Diba when we are going to write a short paragraph or a short story or a sentence, dapat alam natin ang meaning o kahulugan ng bawat salita upang alam natin kung anong word ang ating gagamitin. Either advice with a C or advice with an S. Alright? So, I will begin with advice with a C. Advice with a C is a mass noun or uncountable noun. When you see mass noun or uncountable noun, it means hindi mo siya mabibilang, hindi mo siya makakount kasi mass noun siya. So, example of mass nouns are salt, sugar, sand, soil. Those are mass nouns. Hindi natin siya mabibilang. Alright? The same as advice. It is a mass noun. So, hindi mo siya mabibilang. Therefore, hindi ka dapat mag-a-add ng S. You will not say, she gave me a lot of advices. Or my mom gave me advices. Hindi ka dapat mag-add ng S. Alright? Okay? For example, you say, there are a lot of advices from that book. So that's very, very wrong. No S or you will never or never mag-add ng S sa advice with a C. So here's my advice. Stop adding S to it. Did you understand? So no adding of S to advice. Okay? But what if I will give more than one advice? What will I do? What will I add? So, dyan papasok ang units of measurements. Alright? So, you will add units of measurements. For example, a kilo. You say a kilo of rice. Diba? You will not say rices. So, you will add units of measure or measurements which is a kilo. So, you say a kilo of rice. Or a cup of rice. Or a pinch of salt. You will not say salts pag marami. So, you will use units of measurements. A pinch of salt, a kilo of rice, a liter of water. Okay? Those are examples of units of measurements. So, we are going to use units of measurements for the word advice. So, you say pieces of advice, words of advice, a few advice, a lot of advice. Take note once again that you will not add S to it. Okay? What are you going to add? Units of measurements. Pieces of advice, words of advice, a few advice, and a lot of advice. Alright? So, advice is pronounced as C, letter C, sounding as S. So, advice, advice, advice. What about or how about advice with an S? Advice with an S is a verb. It is a pandiwa. It is the act of giving advice. Alright? So you say, for my example, I would say, when I was pregnant, my doctor advised me to take a rest for 2 weeks. I-share ko lang sa inyo ha, kasi when I was pregnant for 2 weeks, hindi ko alam na pregnant ako. That's why I had internal bleeding and my doctor advised me to rest for 2 weeks. So yun, advice. The act of giving advice. Alright. What else? You say, Bella was advised to stay away from Edward. Okay, so si Bella sa Twilight movie. Another example, my advice to you is, do not fall for me. Charot. Kasi I'm already married. Charot lang. Okay? So that's advice with an S. It's a verb. It is a pandiwa. It is the act of giving advice, the noun. So advice with an S is pronounced as S, sounding as Z. Advice. 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 So I hope you learned something from this video. Again, advice with a C is a must noun. It is an uncountable noun. Okay, meaning hindi mo siya mabibilang at hindi ka dapat mag-add ng S. What will you add? Units of measurements. And advice with an S is a verb. It is the act of giving advice. Alright? So here's my advice to you. Take my grammar lessons. Charot lang. Alright, so here's my advice to you. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Pambili ng gatas ng baby ko. Charot lang. Alright, so I think that's all for English 101 with Mommy Joy. And see you on my next episode. Stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye!